In this video, I'm going to show you how, once you've got your author brand, copywriting, and social media guidelines done, then where you're going to put them and how you're going to use them. So before you get started, just be sure that you have gone through this author brand guide builder at brandguide.authorautomations.com. It's free and it'll give you the three forms, the three documents that you need to upload and have the most success with this next part. So in this next part, there's two parts to it. There is the social media planner. This is a JSON file for make.com that you can download from hub.authorautomations.com. The second part of it is you need to build an Airtable base because the two work in concert together. So first, you're going to download your brand style guide, and then in this, you're going to build a table that has brand assets. And then you're going to create three records here, one for the brand guidelines, one for your copywriting guidelines, and one for your social media guidelines. And then you can paste the text files into here. So it has everything. So it has all the things that I've built and the time that I spent going through here. So it's got my short author bio. It's got my aesthetic. This one says the aesthetic of Pushing Davies meets Brian Frode's Goblin and Fairy artwork, Studio Ghibli's Kiki delivery service. So it's incredibly specific to give the framework to the LLMs in this next step. It's even got my color palettes and hex colors and all kinds of things. So there's lots and lots of detail in here, and you can see it's got the pen name, the brand guide, and the last date that it was generated for each of these. So once those are done, you're going to create a brand assets table and you're going to paste those three in there. The next table that you're going to add are the book details table, and this is where you can put your book title, your pen name, your series name, the audience and genre that you write in, the tone and mood of your book, the tropes of your book, the setting of your book. So for example, I have Port Tempest, a magical barrier island off the coast of Texas, serving as its own character in the book. Then you're going to put in your protagonist names. You're going to put in your blurb. You're going to upload your book cover. You're going to have reference images. This was an old book cover, but this is a style that I'm using. Then I've got a Word document of my entire manuscript, and then I reference those three style guides. So you can see each one of these fields. Book title is in a long text, pen name is long text, series name is a drop down because I have multiple series that I'll have here, but I only have one in there right now. Audience is a long, tone and mood is a long text. Tropes is a multiple choice download. So I have returning home, reunited lovers. You can have all of your tropes in there. And the reason why I have them as drop downs there is so that I don't misspell things, because I do that all the time. I've also got a long text for setting, and then I've got a multiple select drop down for my protagonist names. And then again, I've got my blurb. My book cover is an image field. My reference images is an attachment image field. My Word document is an attachment with a Word document. And then my style guide is a lookup table. So to create a lookup table, what you do is you just click the plus sign at the end of Airtable and you link to another record. So in this case, I'm linking to this brand assets table that I've got here. And then it's going to allow me to link to multiple records. And then I would create field, and then it's going to give me a choice. And so I'm going to link to the style guide, and then I'm going to add the notes, right? So if I click here and add lookup field, I can add the notes right here. And the notes is where all of your brand assets are, right? So this is your brand assets table. This is the name of it. These are the notes. And then in your book details, I'm going to do a lookup field here and link to it and link to the brand assets. And then I'm going to link to the notes here. So I've got all three that I've selected here. And so once you do that, these become select boxes because I'm looking up and you can see if nothing is in the style guide here, then nothing will be in the notes. But if I want to select all three of those, then I'm going to select my brand guidelines. I'm going to select my copywriting guidelines. Sorry, allow linking to multiple records. So in your style guide, be sure you have allow linking to multiple records. Then, yes, I know this. Then you can say, I want my brand guide, my copywriting guide, and then I want my social media guidelines. And then this has all three of them. And then this becomes one giant record with everything in it, so that when you use your make.com automation, everything is in one spot, right? So you've got your book details all the way through. All right, so you've got your brand assets field with these three fields. That's all you need there. Your book details with, you can do as many books as you want there. And then you've got your books there and they're all attached. And then you're going to start creating some social content. So you're going to create a table to hold all of the social media ideas in one place. So you're going to create a table called Social Planner, and you're going to create one field. The first field is going to be campaign idea, and it can be just a short field, single line text. Then you have an objective that's long text, an idea description that's long text, the content type that's long text, your primary call to action as long text, your hook/angle, which is going to be long text, voice notes, which is going to be long text. That's not dictation. That's going to be the voice of this particular piece of content. Then you're going to create one for image guidance, a status field, and your status field is going to have starting point, review and choose image, ready for images, and ready to post. This is part of a bigger system, so just follow along and set this up. And by the way, if you want to get this, is available to paid members in my... And by the way, if you want this, it's available at hub.authorautomations.com. That's my community where I have all of these as links and downloads. So then you're going to create voice notes. Then you're going to have image guidance, status. Then you're going to have social profiles. And your social profiles are going to also be a place where you can decide which fields you want. So for example, here I've got TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. So here I have a social profiles table, and this is where I've created a list of things. So I've got TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, a separate Facebook for direct to readers, a YouTube, a LinkedIn, Threads, Blue Sky, a Pinterest board, Reddit, and Twitter. These are all the social media channels that I am working with when I want to create content. Back in the social planner, this social profiles, again, is a lookup field. It's a link to the social profiles. So I've created all the social profiles in here like this. So when I go into social planner and I click into the social profiles, it'll be, again, a plus sign, and then I can choose multiple. So I can say, yes, I want this one to go to TikTok, and I want this one to go to Facebook, and I want this one to go to YouTube. And you can change them here to be whatever you want or wherever you post. So if you have 2 or 3 different Facebook pages, you can list those. If you have 2 or 3 different YouTube channels, you can list those. This is just a way for you to keep track of the individual profiles that you've got. And then when you go into the social planner, this is where you can choose them. And then back when we created book details, this is going to be a lookup field for your book details. So I'm going to click the plus. I only have one book, so it's going to be Curses and Currents. So the way you're going to connect this is you're going to create a link. You're going to create a link to another field, And then you're going to create all of these lookup fields that you've got in here. And then they appear across here. So all I do to get all of this in here, every other piece of thing that comes in for the rest of this comes from me selecting the book here. So I select the book and then the reference images pull over because they're attached to the book back here. And then the blurb comes over, the pen name comes over, the book title comes over, the notes and the brand assets come over when I get to this point where I can choose which brand assets are attached to. Actually, it's done automatically, but you can see how you set this up. So you'll set all of this up and you don't have to choose any of these. The automation will do it for you, but you're going to create all of these fields here, right? So one more time, you've got campaign idea, objective, idea description, content type, primary CTA, the hook / angle, the voice / notes, image guidance, the status, a lookup table to your social profiles, which is a table here, a lookup to your book details, which is in your book details, and then the image and all this others. This is a lookup field that comes from book details, the lookup field that comes for the blurb, a lookup field for your pen name, a lookup field for your book title, a lookup field from your notes, and a lookup field for your brand assets. So all of those fields together give you this one complete base that you've got here. So pause the video and go back through and create your Airtable. And then once you've got it, you can move to the next step. Okay, so once you've got the Airtable set up here and you've got the bare minimum that you need is the social planner, the brand assets, the book details, and the social profiles. Those are the absolute must-have tables that you need with the bare minimum. Now let's build the make.com scenario. So the first node that you have here is a webhook. And what a webhook does is when I send an email with something, it's going to catch it here, and then it's going to do the thing linearly that it wants to do from here on out. So the first one is a webhook. The second one is an Airtable search records, and I'm searching the base, the Airtable base. I'm going to look at the brand assets table that I have in there, and then I have a view called guides, and then it's going to get all of this data. So by filling it in, I'm calling it up now. I'm calling it up. So now I can hit save there. And if you go back to Airtable and you go to brand assets, this view that I have here for guides, if you don't have anything else in this table, then it's fine. But what you do is you create a filtered by name and you say where name contains guidelines. Because in this brand assets, I have other things. I have API keys, I have images, I have stuff I want to stick there for later. This is where I keep everything related to this project. So I create a filter, create a new view, call it guides, filter it by guidelines, and then it will get your 3 things in here. So then here in this Airtable, I don't have to search for those. I can just say, go look at the guides, grab everything related to that, and bring all of that back in to do something with later. You've got an Airtable search records. So because I have 3 of them, now I need to loop them all together. I need to bring them all into one space. So you're going to add an array aggregator, and you're just going to create a custom structure type that says custom here, right? So if you've never created an array aggregator before, let me just unlink this. Let me just do it down here so I don't mess this up. So you can do add a module, and then click on here, and then click on flow control, and then it's an array aggregator. And then it's gonna ask you what source module you want. And your only 2 choices are Airtable or webhook, because those are the only 2 that are behind you. So you can say, I want it to be Airtable custom structure, and then select all. And then when you do that, you'll get something that looks like this. It's going to search Airtable. It's going to have custom structure by default. And then you're just going to say, yes, I want everything. I want to get all the fields. And then you can save it. Let me go ahead and delete those so we don't have to worry about them. Okay, so now you're coming to ChatGPT because you've gotten all of your book data and now you've got a really long, large prompt here. And I'm going to show you what it looks like. So this is what's going to create all of your content for you. So you're a senior book marketing strategist specializing in social media campaigns for best-selling authors. Your expertise includes platform algorithms, reader psychology, viral content patterns, authentic brand voice, return only JSON per the schema provided, no prose, no code, fences, no comments. These are just guardrails that you're giving ChatGPT. And by the way, I'm using ChatGPT 5 for this. So I've created a ChatGPT node. It is a chat completion with model GPT-5. I've given it a role of developer/system, and now I've given it this big long prompt. So from the task below, you're going to parse the mail hook, which I'll show you the mail hook in a second, to capture the launch campaign or the campaign objective. And then you're going to parse the Airtable data to capture all the things that we've given it now. The brand guidelines, the social guidelines, the book details, all the assets. And what you're asking it to do here, and you can modify this any way you'd like, but I'm having it create a strategic 30-day social campaign with exactly 30 high-performing content ideas. Each idea must be specific enough to execute without ambiguity. Then what I do is I go back in and I say, these are the inputs. Here's my pen name. Now you can see this is a variable that that's going to come from this array aggregator. So if I click here, you can see I have all of these things now that it's pulled from Airtable for me to choose from to give it to this ChatGPT prompt. So I'm going to grab the pen name and the series name and the brand and style guide. And then I'm going to give it the book details. And then I'm going to give it the title. I'm going to give it the blurb and the settings and the trope and the tone and mood and the audience and genre and the protagonist and the cover and the reference images. All of this comes from here. What I've got here in the brand and style guides, plus all the book details here, and eventually the social profiles. But I've given it all of this, and I only have to give it one time, and then it's going to generate all the content for me. Then it's going to parse the email request, which I'll show you how that works in just a second. So I can put in the subject and the from and the message. And then it's going to output all of this as what's called a JSON object so that it can read it in the next step with each of these things separated. This is just a machine readable format that you want it to output in a workflow so that the next step in the workflow can read it. And so this is called a schema. And so we're asking it to return an object with this exact structure. The campaign ideas array must contain exactly 30 objects. So each of these becomes an idea inside your social planner here. So each of these is an idea. I'm going to go ahead and delete this one because this was our sample, but you'll see it come through in just a second. So you can follow along, copy it as exactly like I have it. So you've got your idea title, which is a string. It's a brief, memorable title. Then you've got your idea objective. And your objective is going to relate to something in marketing. So social proof or FOMO or emotional connection or curiosity gap or value first or community building, pattern interruption, entertainment, education, inspiration, vulnerability, controversy. All of these are just frameworks. If you have a framework that you use instead, this is yours. Copy it in here. Then you've got the idea description. And this next part is the detailed concept with specific elements to include. Be prescriptive about what story to tell, which book element to feature, and the emotional angle. So from all of these, you're going to build 30 days of content. Then you've got your content type. So what is this? Is it a quote? Is it a character intro? Is it behind the scenes? A trope tease, world building, reader question, poll, countdown, review request, book recommendation, mood board, aesthetic, series connection, author vulnerability, reader testimony, controversy spark, or value content. Again, customize these as you will. These are just places where you can start. Then the next is going to be your primary CTA, your call to action. When you went through your brand and style guide, this is where you, as a rule in this, said what your brand and style guide is. So if your brand and style guide down here says your calls to action should be very subtle, here, hashtags, how will this pen use key names, how will you use emojis, what's off limits, and in here in this copywriting guide, you told it down here, you gave it sample email replies and sample announcements, phrases, your paragraph style, how you use humor, how you tell stories, and how do you ask readers to take action. So for example, if I go in here to edit this question, how it takes action, then when it goes in to take action, it knows that you want it to be very subtle, for example, or you want it to be very formal, for example. It's completely up to you how you're going to tell it to do these things. So for example, if I want to come in here and ask it again in a different way, how it works, then I can go in and edit that answer. And then when I'm done, I can re-upload that into my brand assets, and then it's available again. Okay, so that's how that works. Then you can go into the hook and angle. Now the hook and angle is how it should grab people. So if you want it to be unpopular opinion, can we talk about, no one else, but here's why. And again, you're asking it to act as a strategist. So there are tons of them. That's just a sample of them. Then it's going to ask for an image concept, a specific visual direction, including composition, mood, color palette, text overlay, and whether it should be photorealistic, illustrated, text-based, graphic, aesthetic collage, or video concept. And again, it's going to reference back to your setting, your tone, and your tropes. So if you told it in the beginning that you don't like illustrated things, or you don't want to do any AI imagery at all, then this is how it's going to manifest. So all of those together, right? And you need to copy all of this exactly how I have it. So I'm going to scroll through again really slowly. So you're going to start at the top, give it the direction. Here's the task. Here's the inputs. Here's the campaign objective. Here's the inputs. You're going to replace these inputs with your inputs, obviously. You're going to go through and select all of these, choose all of them. And then again, if you want to change your Airtable to not have setting or tone or mood, perfectly fine. Just leave these out. Protagonists, you don't have to have those, right? If you don't want to use covers, great. All this is customizable. Then here's your campaign request. That's going to go back to your webhook here. Then you're going to copy this. Be sure you've got all the punctuation as I have it in here, completely set up. If you want a copy of this, you can jump into my community at hub.authorautomations.com and go into the prompts, and I will have that in there for you. So you can copy and paste it and edit it. But if you're following along and you don't want to join the community, no problem. Just follow along, copy everything here exactly as I have it, and then you can build it yourself. No worries. All right, then we get to the strategic requirements. So it's saying that it must contain exactly 30 objects with all 8 fields populated. Then it has some secret sauce in here for campaign architecture. So ideas 1 through 7 are this. Ideas 8 through 14 are this. Ideas 15 through 21 are this. 21 through 28 are this. 29 and 30 are celebration. So this was designed to be like a 30-day campaign, but you can customize this however you want. Then you've got your content mix, and this is what my content mix is. This is what I've chosen based on my objectives. So I have 60% entertainment and emotional connection. That includes quotes, aesthetics, tropes, and character moments. Then I've got 30% community engagement. Those are going to be questions, polls, vulnerability, reader spotlights. Then I've got direct conversion, which is pre-orders, sales, review requests, and newsletter signups. Then I've got quality standards, right? So that's the mix. And then I go into the standards, review the specific book elements, the character names, the settings, the hooks, the angles. They should be scroll stopping. The images should be detailed enough for AI image generation without guessing. And again, if that's not part of your business mix to create AI generative imagery, no problem. Take that out. Then you can avoid generic ideas, post a quote, share the cover. The ideas must feel cohesive as a campaign arc, building momentum towards the objective, and each idea should work across multiple platforms. And then again, just how to output it. Return only the JSON, begin and end with this. Okay, so the next thing you need to do is come down to the response format, turn on the advanced settings, and then choose the JSON object, and then make sure you have parse JSON response there. Tick that as yes. And once you have that, you can skip everything else unless you know what those are, but they're pretty advanced and I don't use them. And so you can click save. Then you're going to connect the next module, and that's going to be what's called an iterator. So you're going to create an iterator, and the result is going to be what comes back from this campaign ideas. Now, what you're probably going to have to do in order to get that field to be available is unlink this here, right? Unlink it, run it, and then you'll have this output here that you can use. And then you can connect this back together. And then when you go into the iterator, you'll have the result campaign ideas as a choice here. So you're going to call back to what ChatGPT has given you after it runs, and it's going to give you this result campaign ideas. And then under here, if you open this up, there's the campaign ideas, title, objective, description, content type. You only see one because it's iterating through it. So you're going to get this whole thing. An array just is a group of them. It's all 30 of them. So you're going to choose an iterator, do the result, save it, and then you're going to put everything back in Airtable, one at a time, one record at a time. So in Airtable, you're going to open up Airtable. You're going to choose that same base here and the social planner this time. So back here, you were getting all the brand guides. This time, you're going to put all of it back into the social planner. And so that's going to be the campaign idea, right? So here's the campaign idea. That's the idea title. Then you're going to grab the objective and pop in the objective. And then you're going to do the idea description. And there's the idea description. And then you've got content type. And you've got your primary CTA and your primary CTA. And your hook and angle. And your hook and angle. And your voice and notes. And your voice and notes. And then your image guidance, it's labeled image concept. So then you put all of those in those fields for Airtable. And then you have your status as starting point, because your starting point relates back to this starting point right here. So it's going to put all of the records into this view right here, which is filtered by status as starting point, and that's when you start here. The rest of these have different workflows that will actually create the images, create the videos, create the captions, create everything. That's in the next step. But for this step, we're just going to start with creating 30 days of content. So down here, if you've created your Airtable, and you've got your book details in there, you can actually link back so that those records link to that specific book. Otherwise, you have to connect that book. And then under your brand assets, if you want your 1, 2, 3 brand assets back here for your copywriting style guide, your copywriting guide, and your guidelines, you can create one last field at the end here called record ID. I have it as calculation. I can rename this as record ID. Record ID. And then in this record ID, the calculation is just going to be the record ID of this record. And so what you do is you copy this 1, 2, 3, and then in your social media brand assets, you have 1, 2, 3. That way, each one of these ideas that you're generating here are going to be tied to your 3 brand assets, 1, 2, 3. And then that's it. So you're going to hit save down at the bottom here. And then you can click down here to auto align it. Be sure and save it. And then you're going to send an email to kick all of this off. So what you're going to do is when you created this custom webhook, it gave you an email address here. So you're going to copy this address to the clipboard and you're just going to save it. And then you can click on run once. That puts it in the state to test it. So now you can come back to your email, and I have an email already up that I have sent 1,000,000 times. I'm going to send it again, right? So this is the email address. So if I just hit reply here or start a new mail, you can start a brand new mail and you just send it to the email address that's here in your webhook, right? So start that email. And then I'm going to just, there we go, come over here. So here's the email. So I'm going to say, create a campaign to launch curses and currents on November 30. Now, this is free field. I could say, I'm going to go ahead and hide my signature here too. So here I could say, I have a BookBub, or I have an audiobook coming out. Whatever it is that you've got, you can create a campaign around anything. So you can usually, I always say launch because it's the easiest one for it to parse and figure out. But then I'm going to hit send. Now I'm sending an email to make.com. So I'm going to hit send right here. I'm going to close up my email here. And in just a second, you're going to see the webhook catch that email. And then it's going to go through and do its thing. So there, it's caught it. And then I broke it. Okay, hold on. What'd I do? Output, guides. Oh, I renamed that from calculation to record ID. Congratulations, you played yourself. Good habit to just set up your Airtable and then don't mess with it. So there's the record ID, save, and then I just need to go into the aggregator and make sure that it's got everything here, and it does. So I can hit save, and now it will work. So I'm going to save it down here. I'm going to hit run once again, and I'm going to send that email again. Hit reply. I'm going to send that little email one more time. So I'm just going to hit send off camera so I don't have to drag everything over. Okay, here we go. So I've got it again, and I'm going to hit send. Oh, there we go. Send. There we go. All right. So now it's sent. So now we're just going to wait for the webhook to catch. It's going to take a second to receive that email and know that it has to do the thing. So it's going to catch that email. Oh, it already has. So it caught the email. It grabbed it from Airtable. It scooped up all the brand guides and the book details, and now it's going through ChatGPT. Now this part can take, I've seen it take up to 3 minutes. It doesn't take much more than that because we're only asking it for 30 days at a time. And I did limit it to 30 days. I wouldn't go, if you decide to change that prompt, I wouldn't go any higher than 30 days. Primarily because ChatGPT will time out if you do that. And also, I've chosen a rather expensive model. You could do 10 days at a time and do a cheaper model. You don't have to use ChatGPT also in this step right here. You could use something else. You could use Claude, which is Anthropic in make.com. You can have your own. So for example, I have our own LLM, but I do ChatGPT for this particular task. We've given it a very strong framework. Okay, so something's goofy here, and it's probably something that I have done here. I'm going to look at this error. Each record must only appear once. Okay, so I have done this. Again, congratulations, you played yourself. So in the book details here, I'm going to do the same thing. Oh, no, I messed up. Okay, see how I have these 3 here? These 2 are the exact same. So you see me mess up in real time. So I'm going to do copy 1, copy 2, and copy 3. Now I'm going to come back here. And I messed this one up, so I'm going to hit cancel, and hopefully it didn't save. Okay, so this is back. This is what I messed up. So I'm fixing the records for my brand and style guide. So I'm going to go 1, and I'm just going to paste them off of my clipboard. So there's 1, and there's 2. Let's just do this easily. So I've got MU is 1. Here's MO. I'm going to copy that and come over here and do MO. And then 3, I'm going to come back here and I'm going to grab the one that ends in G and pop that in here. This just saves you a step so that you don't have to connect things later. So if this part is optional, but it is helpful. So now you've got these 3 and they're all different because that was my bad. So I'm going to hit save, and then I'm going to save it down here, and then I'm going to run it again. If I had $1 for every time I had to test things. Let me delete this draft and let me reply to email one more time. And get rid of my signature. And say I want to create a campaign to launch Curses and Currents on the 30th. Okay, so just so you see, let me drag this over here so you can see what I'm doing here. All I'm doing here is I'm sending this email again, and I just have a thread here where I've done it. So you could keep this pulled up, go in your sent folder and redo it over and over again. It's really not tough to resend it. Okay, so now the webhook caught, Airtable's got everything, the array aggregator's going through, and now it's going through ChatGPT. And then once it's done with ChatGPT, it's generated everything all over again. It's going to go through and iterate and add those back into Airtable. So again, it takes 5 minutes. And again, you don't have to use ChatGPT here. You can use Anthropic. You could use Perplexity if you wanted to. It doesn't matter. Whatever LLM that you want to use inside of make.com is perfectly fine. It's completely up to you. So it's going to go through here. I'm not timing it, but we're probably at about a minute, maybe a minute and a half. And it's going to finish it up. And then when you're done, it's going to go in to your social planner and you will see everything come in here and it'll go kaboom in just a second. And all of your campaign ideas and objectives and ideas and descriptions and all of this will be filled in. Even this book details here and the reference images and the book cover, everything here, because you put in the record ID of your book details from over here. There it goes. Boom. 24, 25, 28, 29, 30, 31. It's doing some more. It's doing more than it did 40. No rhyme or reason. It says do 30, but sure, do more. That's fine. Okay, so now I've got 40, for some reason, not 30, but that's fine, pieces of content, and all of them I can go in and look at to see if they are things that I do want to use. So now I can go in and say, ARC sneak peek, one non-spoilery chapter moment, behind the scenes, share a brief non-spoilery excerpt from the first chapter to whet appetite and show writing craft. Now, here's the thing. These are all content ideas. I have a second automation. So this is generating all of your ideas for the 30 days. The next video is how make.com will take all of this and actually generate all of your captions and your social media content from this. But you can see right here, it's plugged everything in. So now the next step for you is to review all of this. Does this sound like you? Is this aligned with what you want? Is it going to engage your readers? Is this what you want? If there's anything in there that you don't want, so for example, maybe there's a vulnerability post and you don't want that, although gracious and reflective is always nice, you can always just right click and delete it. So if there's anything in there that you don't particularly want, you can always deselect it and then you can run it again. You can absolutely run it again. I think it did 40 because I had 10 stuck when I had to fix that thing. So it should just create the 30. So now what you do to get ready for the next step and the next video is you go through here and you decide which social profiles each one of these go by. So you can click on the plus sign and remember you created all of them over here. So now they're selectable. So if I wanted this to go to TikTok and Instagram and Facebook and YouTube and sure, LinkedIn and Threads and Blue Sky and no way I'm not sending that to Reddit, but Twitter, right? I will never call it X. Then you've got your social profiles there. Now, if, for example, you wanted to say, I want everything to go everywhere all at once, you can highlight this and do Control C or Command C if you're on a Mac, and then you can paste this all the way down to the bottom. And now it's there. So now you've got a complete strategy for 30 days ready to go, and it's ready for the next make.com scenario. So you've got your brand assets in there, you've got your book titles, your pen names, your blurbs, your book covers, reference images if you've got them, book details, and then your image guidance, your voice, your hook, content types, everything done for you in your voice, ready for the next step, which is to actually generate all of these captions. So I will see you in the next video.